All that crazy cool sustain you heard in that little intro song comes from this pickup called the Sustainiac. And today we're looking at this Schecter guitar, the C1 with the Sustainiac pickup. So as you saw in that video, I got this guitar at a guitar center, and that was in Manhattan, and I went on a little journey to get it, which was fun. And the Sustainiac was something that had always interested me because I'm always looking for that feedbacky kind of sustain sound, and I record in a very kind of enclosed environment. I can't have an amp that I've got cranked up. I'm just recording in a room here. And so like now when I'm plugged into a modeler like the Kemper there, which I have an orange amp dialed in, I like to be able to get those cool sustain sounds out of that enclosed environment where it's just directly to the studio monitors and I don't have to do anything crazy standing in front of a loudspeaker or anything to get the sounds that I want. Let's now talk about the specifications for this guitar, and then we'll come back and I'll give you a bit of a review of how I like it. Sustainiac C1 FR Platinum is a set neck construction with what they call ultra access. The body is mahogany. The top material is quilted maple. It's got binding with silver platinum multiply. The neck is a maple 3-piece. The fretboard is rosewood, and you have platinum offset dots with a Gothic cross at the 12th fret. The scale is 25.5 inches. You have 24 extra jumbo frets. Fretboard radius is 14 inches with a thin C neck shape. The thickness at the first fret is 0.787 inches, and at the 12th, 0.866. The nut width is 1.625 inches. It has the Floyd Rose special nut. The truss rod is a two-way adjustable rod with a 5/32 inch Allen nut. The bridge pickup is an EMG 81, and the neck pickup is a Sustainiac. You have a three-way tone switch here and two 9-volt battery compartments in the back. The hardware is satin chrome. The bridge is a Floyd Rose special, and it has Grover tuners. Okay, now you've seen the nitty-gritty details about this guitar, and briefly I want to talk about how it is that I judge a guitar when I'm doing a kind of demo and review of it. And I look at three aspects of the guitar. And one is the construction, and when I talk about that, I'm talking about things like the tuners and the stability of the guitar, the parts that are used. Does it stay in tune well, or am I always constantly chasing the tuning over the seasons? Is it always needing truss rod adjustments and intonation adjustments, or is it pretty stable? The next thing I talk about is playability, and that is just how it feels in my hands. If a guitar is not put together very well, and this is kind of hand in hand with construction, it can be difficult to play. It fights against you, and you don't feel like you have an instrument that's really helping you make good music. And then lastly, of course, is the sound of the instrument, the range of sounds available and the quality of those sounds, the pickups, that kind of thing. Now with this guitar, we have kind of a special instance because this whole thing is based on this Sustainiac pickup here, the whole reason that I bought it, even though it is also a regular guitar as well. So I want to individually talk about the Sustainiac pickup first and what that does for you and how well it works on this guitar. So you'll notice I have these two little switches here besides the regular three-way switch. And one of these switches is on and off for the Sustainiac, which starts the magnet going that keeps the string vibrating and creates the infinite sustain. And this other switch is a three-way toggle switch, which will, in the first position, just keep the note you're holding going. And the next position, it brings back feedback, which I think is a fifth. I should have probably listened and tested that. And the next one is an octave higher after that. So you can kind of create this, like the effect I did in that little mini song there in the beginning, where the feedback or the sustain starts to sound more like amp feedback than just a sustained note. So I've got a Kemper patch dialed in here of one of my favorites, the orange rocker verb. It's an orange amp, high gain. And I'm just going to kind of show you how the sustain works with it. Okay, so just playing a note on the G string here. I hit the note with no sustainer, and eventually it'll die out and get lower. Now I'll hit it and I'll flip the switch. You hear it really goes there, and then I can move, get that feedback, get the octave. Might even be 2 octaves, I don't know. Like I said, I'd have to go back and listen to what's going on. So the thing that I found with this is that it works best on the G string for whatever reason. If I try to do the same thing on some of the other strings, it's not quite as efficacious. Breaking out some SAT words, I think, there. So I hit like a note on the D string. Doesn't really... There it goes. That's not bad. That's better than I've gotten before. You hear that squeak? I'm going to turn it off. So that's what happens if it's not really grabbing. You get like almost an electronic squeak that's not pleasant. If I go to say the first string, it can be a little harder to control. Gets a little bit dead, but it's hanging on. Too high. So it's working, but it's not, yeah, it kind of died there, see? It's working, but it's not quite as effective across the other strings as it is for whatever reason right in the middle on the G string. It still works, it's just not as effective. So all in all, the Sustainiac is indeed very useful, but it has kind of a bit of a limitation on the instrument. However, I use it for specific parts and specific songs, and I'm perfectly fine with it being more effective in one area than another. Now, talking about the three aspects of how I'm looking at the guitar. First, the construction. I am very impressed with, for the price point, how solid the construction is on this instrument. The quality of the parts, like the Grover tuners and the Floyd Rose, is a very good tremolo system, probably more than I would usually use, actually. I'm not a real dive bomb guy, and as a result of that, I don't really care for the locking nuts, but they're necessary on a guitar like this. I think the binding is a very nice touch, and this set neck is very smooth through here, and the access point over here as you go up on the neck is extremely comfortable. I think that it's put together as well as any guitar that is in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. So I'm really impressed with the quality of the construction. It stays in tune very well, and I have not had to have intonation or truss rod adjustments over 2 years of seasons with this thing. So very stable and very impressive as far as the construction goes. Now, as far as the playability of the instrument, I find it to be up there with, again, instruments in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. I don't feel like I'm fighting against it at any time. It's very smooth and easy to play. It almost has a shreddery feel, or maybe flat out does have a shreddery feel to it the way I got it set up. And it's an instrument that offers just enough resistance that you can feel you can pound the strings when you want to really give it like that oomph of a metal tune, and when you want to be really precise and clean, it also responds very well. So I give it very high marks for playability, again, well and above the price range of a guitar, or a guitar that's usually in this price range. And now the last aspect is the sound of the instrument. Now, this one is one of the earliest models of this, if not the earliest that they made. There are a ton more models now that you can go for that go up into some higher price ranges too. But as far as this one goes, I feel that the range of sounds through the pickup is pretty good. I'm going to do like a little demo here. I'll do a clean, a mid-gain, and a high-gain sound. And they're not completely unaffected, but they're naked in the mix. I'm just playing them by themselves and not EQing or anything like that, or adding any kind of compression. It's just the sound that I dialed up, in this instance, in the Axe effects, which I'll show you the patch as I play through it. So let's take a look at the range of sounds through these pickups. Okay, now you've heard it and I've talked about it. I think you can do more range of sounds, or enough of a range of sounds that you can do more styles of music than just what you might consider this to be as like a metal player's guitar. I think it is a good instrument for several styles if you wanted to go that way with it. And again, for the price, I don't think this thing can be beat. You can find these for, I think, $895, sub $1,000, and you're getting a guitar that I would be happy to take into any studio or in any live situation. The construction, the playability, and the sound are all right there with instruments that are much higher in cost. So guys, if you want to hear anything else about this guitar that I left out maybe, or you have any comments or experiences of your own, please feel free to leave them below. I always get back to people as fast as I can. And until next time, keep making great music. Hey friends, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. It makes the whole world better.